Mekka and Reggie, camping newbies intrigued by the RV lifestyle. He's a concrete camper
who loves concrete pads, manicured lawns, and beautiful views.
And I'm the concrete glamper. I love campsite decor, and more is more. On the weekends, we've moved from the couch to camping. And as Southerners, we always tow our hospitality and charm as we chase the sun, sand, and sea
in our RV.
Greetings, concrete campers and glampers. Welcome back to another episode of Southern Ethos Life.
And we are not on the road again, but we are getting very, 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 very close. But wanted to take the opportunity to say welcome back to our channel, especially to those who are new to us, and thank you for those who continue to join us along our journey as we chase the sun, sand, and sea. Wanted to start off today a little bit different, just taking the opportunity to share how we are knee-deep in planning for our upcoming RV season. And I think it also gives us a really good opportunity to share some of our insights to some questions that we continuously get. And it seems like we're starting to get an increasing number of questions.
Yeah, well, more questions and comments. So as you all get ready to prepare for this up and coming camping season, I'm sure you're mapping out where you want to go, what you want to do, what do you want to see. And we did a video a couple of weeks ago on some of our top 5 recommendations. That did spark some questions and comments from you all just in relation to, hey, how do I get the best deal? You know, what are some of the discounts? What are some of the clubs that you guys belong to? What are your recommendations for, you know, getting a discount at some of these high-end resorts?
Because we recognize that it gets a little bit pricey. And so we thought we'd just take some time today to share with you all just a few of our tips that we follow as we plan and book and make our reservations. I will put out there in terms of the caveat, we are not full-time campers for those of you who are new to us. And so as a result, our budget, I think, may be a little bit different sometimes on the trips that we take than those who are on the road staying at locations for an extended amount of period of time. We typically have not stayed more than 7 days, I would say.
7 days has probably been the longest that we've stayed.
In one particular site.
But, you know, I mean, it's one of those things that we do look for more or less higher end resorts. We do enjoy the resort RV life. So seeing that Mekka does most of the booking, I do the driving. She does the booking and planning and scheduling. So I think you'd be the best person to kind of speak more about how do you go about getting some discounts, some of the things, the conversations you have with some of these resorts, and give them your recommendations on how to get the best deal.
All right. Well, I would say number one for me would be joining a membership club or taking advantage of memberships. We pretty much stick to Good Sam. And when we first started RVing, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, is it worth it? Is this kind of like hokey? But Good Sam is worth its weight in gold. You can either do 1, 2, or 3 years. We have a 3-year membership, and we have already paid for that membership in terms of the amount of money that we have saved on our RV reservations.
Yeah, and I think with the Good Sam's discount, a good amount of resorts will honor that. Mm-hmm. They send you a little nifty membership card that you carry with you. You have your card number, as well as I think they also offer like roadside assistance as well and some other perks to it.
Yes, and fill-up stations, and there's some dumping station perks. And so I would just encourage you, depending on the region that you're in, to really look at some of these membership clubs, because the percentages you can save up to 10% in most cases at these resorts. And I would also encourage you to look and see what region that you are. I know there are a lot of clubs out there, but some of them that some of you may have, they're just not very prevalent in the regions in which we travel. So we typically stick with Good Sam's and have seen some really great results there.
Yep. I think that Good Sam has actually paid for itself already from our standpoint. But again, don't necessarily take our word for it. It's just our recommendation, what we have selected. But do your research. Go out there, take a look at their website, any other competitors' websites, run the math, because as Mika mentioned earlier, it's all about your budget and what works for you and what you can afford and where you want to go.
And then the other thing I would encourage you to do is don't be shy about asking for discounts. When we first started RVing, I would wait for someone to bring it up. I wouldn't say anything. And what I've learned is no one's going to volunteer information about, hey, do you have a discount? Let us help you save money. So don't be shy when you're making reservations after you go through your selections. Oftentimes at the very end, I'll say, hey, just also want to double check, is this the best rate that you can offer, or do you offer any discounts such as Good Sam? So again, don't be shy when asking. I would say the other way that you can save if you are military or retired military. We are not, but my parents are. And so, of course, we travel with them RVing. And there's been a number of occasions where they either had to choose between discounts or there were no discounts offered, and they were able to take advantage of military discounts. And so that's another one that you can't be shy about. There's different parks and different resorts. You have to provide different types of identification. Sometimes they will take all of that over the phone. A lot of times they're asking for your ID card when you arrive at check-in. So just be mindful of that for those of you who are part of the military and definitely have that opportunity to save that way.
Yep. And for those who are, thank you for your service. We
Absolutely.
appreciate you, and thank you.
Absolutely. And then next, I would say what we found is return guests. There are a lot of times where there's a bonus if you have your favorite resort and you return there. I would say Destin West in particular is one that you don't see the discount on their websites. I didn't know about it until we returned on a second trip. And just casually, again, in conversation, saying, oh, we've returned, we love it here. And the gentleman mentioned, oh, well, if you're a return guest, we can offer you a discount.
Yeah, and I think Talona Ridge, do they offer that as well?
Talona doesn't offer a return guest, but what they do in that case is they encourage you to book ahead of time. So when you're staying there, they give you a percentage off if you go ahead and make a reservation for a return trip. And so again, when you get these sign-in packets, when you're checking in, you know, some are nicer than others. This is the one that Talona gives you. They give you a lot of information inside. Read that information. I'm someone who loves to read. I love going somewhere and getting a little packet of information because there's always little pieces of nuggets of information that you can find in there. But that is an example of they really encourage you ahead of time to book for your upcoming reservation and trip, and you are rewarded. Also, the benefit of that is if you may notice, sometimes people are always talking about, oh, it's so hard to get into somewhere. It's so hard to get our favorite site. If you are somewhere and you love it, go ahead and you know that, hey, we probably want to come back here next year. I would recommend that you go ahead and book it. And you may be surprised that whether it's a discount or something is waived for you to go ahead and to make that reservation. The only caveat there is just encourage you to make sure you're aware of the cancellation policies or the change policies because it varies across the board. There is no one size fits all when it comes to that.
Yeah, because we took advantage of that when we stayed at Anchor Down. We knew that we wanted to return again for the holiday season. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and booked for the following year. And sometimes they'll tell you, well, we can't book you out that far in advance, but call back in X month. Mm-hmm. So at least you know, all right, spoke to Susie, whoever, or, Michael, whoever, at the front desk, and they said, to call back in February so I could book for my Thanksgiving up-and-coming holiday.
In addition to checking the fine print about cancellations, also do your due diligence about making deposits. One of my nits that I just do not like is when I have to pay in full my balance for a reservation, especially if it's a reservation 6+ months away. it's just a nit of mine. And we've been lucky. A lot of the resorts that we go, they do allow you to put down a deposit. There are a handful that you have to pay in full upfront, but it's just not my favorite. And then again, my opinion, but I also get the sense of in those occasions where we've had to pay in full up front, they've been a lot more strict with their cancellation policies.
Yeah, their rules. And I guess the point is kind of paying for something unsight unseen.
Sight unseen.
That's a big chunk of money to put out, especially if we're planning to go for, like a week, let's say, or 5 days. And you're carrying that on if you put it on your credit card, or however you pay, but typically you will use a credit card. So there's a chunk of money sitting on a credit card that I've paid off, and now we're waiting to go, and you're questioning, like, is this going to be worth the experience? And then refunds, how does that work? Life happens too, right? So you just ran up, quite a big chunk of money on a credit card, and maybe something else comes up in life. So yeah, ideally paying a deposit would be the better way to go, or we prefer that. And then once we arrive, or it's the week before, whatever it may be, then go ahead and charge the rest of your amount, or even charge me once we arrive.
Right. I mean, I think, again, it's not 100% deal breaker, but I find myself, if it's somewhere new, if I'm on the fence about it and you're requiring me to pay in full upfront, I tend to pivot and go somewhere else. Again, we know that there's some resorts out there that do require it, but it's not a red flag, but I don't know, it's just something about it that the few experiences that we have had, that when we've had to pay up in full, it just, to me, it's a signal that they typically are a little less flexible with you, because things come up. Sometimes you need to arrive late. Sometimes you want to come in a day early. And, just one of those things that you should just think about. Another tip for you when you're looking for those deals, because I love a good bargain, is be prepared for a little spam in your life. I know it sounds a little crazy, but sign up for the email list at particular resorts that you're looking at, or your favorite ones. I have recently received a couple of offers where if I make a reservation prior to the end of March, there was like a 25% off booking fee. This year, I noticed that a number of RV resorts were doing Black Friday specials, and I missed it because I wasn't signed up for one particular resort that I love. And had I known that, I would have paid my deposit and booked. And it also just gives you an opportunity to reconsider going back. So I would highly encourage you to do that. And along those lines, if you don't want to, who needs another piece of email in their inbox? Also think about when you are traveling. I know it's counterintuitive to say, let's not travel on a holiday. But depending on when you go, what time of year that you go, and if it's built on a weekend or a weekday, rates change. And so when people are asking us, hey, how much did X resort cost? What was the cost of your site? We typically don't share a lot specifics about the amount because of that. Because when we're saying to you guys, hey, what time of year you go, if you have a membership discount, all that plays a role in how much someone is being charged.
And even your site selection. There's premium sites, there's different sites with different amenities to it. So those are going to vary as well. There's not a consistent pricing that kind of exists for each resort. So honestly, I go back to, we're here to help as much as we can, but definitely do your own research, and you can hear what we have to say about it and our opinions about it. But then from a logistical standpoint or a pricing standpoint, we highly recommend go to the website, check them out. If they don't have a strong website or a site selection site map, give them a call. Call them up and then use some of the things Mekka was talking about earlier, asking about discounts, asking about rates, asking about, whatever it may be to see if they can lower the rate for you. Especially, I think, too, sometimes when they don't have a high occupancy rate, they may be more willing to say, hey, well, if you're going to come up and stay X amount of days, we can give you X, percentage off. And that's another thing that I want to just kind of bring up is the requirements when booking.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at doing something a little bit different this year on a trip that we have coming up. So, but when we call some of the resorts, they're requiring like 2-night, 3-night minimums, which, I guess I get, but at the end of the day, the way that this up and coming trip that we're looking at taking is going to be essentially, 1 night here and we're hitting it and 1 night here. So that's another thing to pay attention to, looking at what the requirements are, because some of them have changed. Some of them initially that we looked at last year were like, hey, not a problem staying 1 night or 2 nights, but now it's moved to a 3-night minimum in some locations. So that's something else just to consider.
And then along those lines is if you're staying in the middle of the week or if you're building into the weekend, you'll also notice a difference in the rates in which you're being charged. And so even in one trip, when we're going midweek, let's say a Thursday, Friday, we could be charged 2 different prices and sometimes even a third price for that weekend if it's a holiday weekend. And so if you are really looking at price and if that is something that is prohibiting you from traveling to a specific part, I would say don't discount it off the top. Definitely do a little bit more research and just see if off season, if middle of the week, there's a better opportunity for you to go. And then, as Reg mentioned, avoiding those premium sites.
So another question that we received was, how do you go about finding information on new resorts coming or new resorts that are popping up in your area? So
I would say, I can't say it enough, research. Especially this time of year, there's a lot of news that's happening in the RV world. And so there are a number of like RV channels, websites that I follow. So in particular, there's a new resort that I'm really excited about that's opening up in Georgia. It's called Winding Waters. And so that's one that actually I found out about on a Chamber of Commerce newsletter or website or something to that effect. And then we went to the regional RV show and they had a booth there. And while we were there, they were really encouraging you to sign up for their email list. And so they were encouraging you to do that. So when they officially start accepting reservations, they're going to reach out to people who are on this email distribution and or their mailing list ahead of time. So that's just a really great example of, yeah, I know the last thing everyone wants is some more emails, but in this case, it's really helpful. And then the other way I find out about some of the newer resorts is I do Chamber of Commerce and tourism channels and sites are really helpful information because that is their job. They're trying to attract people to their region, to their state. And so I spend a lot of time looking on those particular sites and those resources. And then of course I look at all the, the typical things. Good Sam, as an example, they have a list of parks that are part of their network. RV Life, that's an app. They have a list of sites within their network. So you name it. There's a number of websites out there. There are a number of apps. CampSpot is one of my favorites because that is a reservation site that a number of the resorts that we go to, they use the CampSpot app. And within that app, you can just go directly there, tell them what state that you want to go to, and they'll bring you up a list of resorts or campgrounds within their network that uses their reservation system. And so I would just really encourage you all that you can't be shy. Especially if you're new and you're trying to figure it out, that you absorb information from everywhere, everything, even, our fellow YouTubers out there and content creators, we all are providing some fantastic information. And so just like you are coming to us, we consume content on other people's channels, and we watch their information as well. And we're always learning different things. And then you just can't beat good old fashioned networking, that when you're out traveling, you're at RV resorts and parks, get out, talk to your neighbors, and talk to the community. We all know the RV community is just so sweet and so nice and so helpful.
Yeah, they are. And actually that has been useful for us through our travels, just having conversations and understanding where have they traveled within the region, especially if someone's more of in the southern, southeast region. Absolutely. It's a great resource to just help each other out. So that's the type of community that you're a member of.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward again to this year. We have some exciting trips planned, something a little bit different this year, which will be bringing to you guys as we get closer to that travel time, but definitely looking forward to another great RV season. So we ask that you guys continue to like, subscribe, share, and participate in our journey as we chase the sun, sand, and sea
in our RV.